Hi everybody, and welcome back to Miss Lori's Kitchen. I hope y'all have had a good day, and I hope y'all continue to have a wonderful week. I've had some requests here lately for some more of my dry mixes, so I thought, well, this might be a good time to kind of get some of them in there. And one of the main ones that a couple people have asked is for a meatloaf seasoning mix. And I guess that's kind of like what you would buy at the store in a pack, kind of like maybe a spaghetti sauce seasoning in a package or taco. And but this is for a meatloaf. Now, usually when I make my meatloaf, I just add my own seasonings to it. But I know a lot of people like to use that little McCormick package meatloaf seasoning because they just like that seasoning, that taste. So I done my research and I found a copycat recipe for McCormick meatloaf seasoning. Now this recipe makes enough for, it equals to one package of the McCormick meatloaf seasoning. So what you'll do is just, what I'm going to do is I've just got me some little baggies here, and I wrote on there meatloaf seasoning package for one loaf. And you can do this and you can put it in a little jar. You can double, triple, whatever this recipe. But I think it's a pretty neat idea just to maybe make you a couple. You probably make meatloaf, once or twice a month, something like that. Some people make it quite a bit. I would probably just do maybe 2 at a time because you have meatloaf maybe twice a month. And I'd put them in little packages just like this, little Ziploc bags, and I do one recipe per baggie, and that equals one package of the meatloaf seasoning. So that's pretty easy, and you can just put it in your pantry just like that. So like I said, this recipe that I'm going to give you equals one package of the McCormick meatloaf seasoning, and it's I'm going to say most of it is ingredients that you've already got in your pantry. And it starts out with 2 teaspoons of ground mustard. Now, when I make my homemade meatloaf, and I'll put that, I have a video for that, and I'll put that down in the description box. I don't ever put any kind of dry mustard or, in the meatloaf, but I do put it on top with the glaze that I put on top of my meatloaf. So this makes sense. So 2 teaspoons of your dry mustard and 2 teaspoons of paprika. And when I make a meatloaf, I like it to be seasoned up pretty good. And there's all kinds of recipes out there for meatloaf. There's Italian meatloaf and a kind of like a Mexican taco meatloaf with taco seasoning in it. So 2 teaspoons of paprika. Now, I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt in here. If you're all watching your salt intake, don't put any salt in here. It's not something you have to have, but the recipe does call for a teaspoon. So we're going to put that in there. We need a half a teaspoon of dried thyme. And thyme is kind of a pretty potent herb, so you don't really want to use a whole lot. But thyme is really good in meatloaf. So half a teaspoon. You need 1.5 teaspoons of basil. I've got a bunch of herbs that I'm going to have to start harvesting already, and hanging and drying. They're starting to get out of hand. Okay, 1.5 teaspoons of basil, and you need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And you need a teaspoon of onion powder. whoops, onion powder, and that's it. So we've got 2 teaspoons of dry mustard, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of salt, which is optional, a half a teaspoon of thyme, 1½ teaspoons of basil, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, and that's it. But I tell you what I'm going to do, because I'm probably going to use this for sure when I make meatloaf next time. I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon of black pepper in here. And this will be optional too, because I always put pepper in my meatloaf. So that was a half a teaspoon of pepper, and that's all there is to that. And like I said, you could double it, but and that would make two seasoning packets, which you want to measure it out for each package for sure. I'm just going to do 1, and we're just going to pour it in the baggie. And if you can even use the smaller little snap baggies, probably better, but I didn't have any. So just get all the air out. And there you go. That is your McCormick meatloaf seasoning right there for 1 meatloaf. And it says this package will do 2 pounds of hamburger meat. So a 2-pound meatloaf is what this is made for. And all you got to do is just, that won't take up very much room in your pantry. So that's a good idea right there. So those of y'all that was wanting a meatloaf seasoning mix, I hope y'all like this one. Like I said, it's the McCormick. Supposed to be tasted just like McCormick's. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a veggie broth. And this is something that I do need to have on hand. I'm out right now, and I use veggie. This is a vegetable mix for making your veggie broth for like your soups and stuff like that. It'd be just like if you were making chicken broth or beef broth. This will be your veggie broth. So we're going to mix up, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put it in a mason jar, because this will make up enough to use several times. I'm going to tell you right now, before I start mixing it up, what all goes into the veggie mix for the veggie broth. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of celery salt or celery seed, a half a teaspoon of turmeric, a half a teaspoon of parsley, and it calls for 1 cup of nutritional yeast. I know not everybody has this in your pantry. I keep it all the time, and we're going to discuss in just a minute what nutritional yeast is and how good it is for you. Okay, let's get to making our vegetable broth mix. And like I said, this is for when you just want to make you a little bit of vegetable broth for either soups or just all kinds of different recipes that maybe you don't want to use chicken broth or something like that in. I use a lot of it in the wintertime in my soups and just different things. Or if you just are needing, if you're sick or something, just need a little cup of vegetable broth. This is a really good recipe for that mix. And once you get your mix, all it is 1 tablespoon of the mix per cup of hot water. So it's about that easy. But the first thing I want to talk about is the nutritional yeast that's in this recipe. Nutritional yeast, it's yeast just like you would make bread with, or a brewer's yeast, but the difference, the yeast you use to bake with is alive. It's a live yeast, just like what you'd make beer with, the brewer yeast. It's a live yeast. This is a dead yeast. because it goes through such a process and a lot of heat that it kills all that. But it's got a lot of nutritional value in it. It's got a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals in it. A lot of vegetarians and vegans, they use this in a lot of their dishes because it gives them that extra vitamins and such. But I tell you, I sprinkle this on my popcorn. Now, you don't want to overdo it. You can sprinkle this on a baked potato, on vegetables, because it has a real buttery taste to it. It's really good stuff. I mean, if you're needing something to help with, you getting that nutrition and stuff, this is really good stuff. And I get this off of Amazon. I'm sure there's a lot of other places you can order it. You might could get it off of Thrive Market, which I order a lot of stuff out of too. But this is good stuff. And it calls for a whole cup. So we're going to put a whole cup in here. That's what we're going to start out with our nutritional yeast. About a cup. And I'm going to do this in a quart jar. In fact, I think I'm going to double my recipe. I know I'm kind of eyeballing this, but that's okay. So we're going to put in 2 cups of nutritional yeast. And this is not very expensive, the nutritional yeast isn't. And like I said, I'll put a link down below. I'll put it in my Amazon shop, where y'all might can find it pretty easy. So that's 2 cups, because I'm doubling the recipe of my nutritional yeast. I'm going to go backwards here on the recipe. It calls for a half a teaspoon of parsley. So I'm going to put a whole teaspoon of parsley. A half a teaspoon of turmeric, and I'm going to put a whole teaspoon. And we know that turmeric root is just really good for you. So that's another good, healthy spice that's in there. So 1 teaspoon of turmeric. 1 teaspoon of celery salt. I'm going to use celery seed. So I'm going to put a teaspoon, that's a tablespoon. Celery seed. So I would put 2 since I'm doubling it. Then 2 teaspoons of paprika. Just about any seasoning mix that I make, because, pretty much all of them have paprika in it. It is one of them seasonings that it's in everything. It's so good. 2 teaspoons of thyme. Not sure, I can't get that in there. Be careful. Don't put too much. I think I'm going to put 1.5 thyme. We're going to put in a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, if you like things just a little bit spicier, you could put even just a little bit of crushed red pepper in this. And I need a tablespoon of sea salt. And that does sound like a lot of salt. You can leave the salt out, of course. And then just salt it as you make your broth up, if you'd rather do that. So that way you can control your salt. And I can tell you what I'm going to do. It calls for a tablespoon, but I'm not putting a tablespoon of salt. I'm going to put a teaspoon. Even though I'm doubling it, I'm just going to put a teaspoon, and I'll taste it as I make it. And if it's in a soup or something, I can taste it and add more salt. I need a tablespoon of garlic powder. I like putting this in a quart jar. That way I can shake it up easy. anytime that I want to use it. Before you use any of your dry mixes, always stir or shake it up really good. That way your mixes get mixed back up pretty good. So 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Now, I've got an optional ingredient here. And a lot of y'all probably don't have this in your pantry, so this is not something you have to put in here. This is tomato powder, and I'm about out. But what it is just dehydrated, usually tomato peels. And it just comes in this form of powder. And I think this probably come from Amazon. I've had it for quite a while. There's so much that you can do with tomato powder, it's unreal. You can make ketchup, you can make tomato paste. You just put a little bit when you're making soups or stews or some kind of an Italian dish that you just need a little bit of tomato in there. This is really good for that. And it'll last a long time in your pantry. During the wintertime, we don't have fresh tomatoes, so... And a lot of times, and it's getting to the point that me and Mr. Brown can't really eat a lot of tomatoes. So the tomato powder has become a good option for us. If you think y'all might be interested in tomato powder, it'll be down in my Amazon shop. I know there's probably different places that you can get it, but this is optional. You do not have to put this in the veggie mix. It's just an optional thing, but I am going to put a couple tablespoons. And I think that's pretty much it for our veggie mix to make vegetable broth. It's about that easy. Now, when I make these, of course, I'll put the recipes down in the description box, and you can always double, triple, quadruple, whatever the recipe. They usually say that these mixes last about 3 months in your pantry. You probably use them up before 3 months, I don't know. But just give it a good shake. And like I said before, every time before you use any of your mixes, always shake it up good. And what I like to do is right on the top, like this one is 1 tablespoon of this mix per cup of hot water. And I'll write it up here on the lid or just put me a piece of tape or something on my jar. That way I always remember how much it takes. So there you go. That is your veggie mix for your veggie broth. And it's pretty healthy. Okay, let's see. We got our meatloaf. And we got our veggie broth. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to make, and I know y'all seen them in the stores, is a potato soup mix that you can buy in the little bags. And a lot of people get them because it's a quick supper or a quick lunch. And of course everybody loves potato soup, especially in the wintertime. But if you can make your own, you're going to save money and it's going to be better for you. So this should come together pretty quick. You're going to need instant potato flakes. You're going to need instant dry milk, chicken bouillon powder, and then you just got some herbs, and then that's about all it's going to take. And I think I want to make this up in a jar too. Okay, so let's make us some potato soup mix. Now, I know that, of course, we'd all rather come in and have some good old homemade potato soup, but our instant potato flakes are just dehydrated potatoes, so you're good there. Then we got our instant powder milk. You're good there. And then we're just going to have some chicken bouillon powder and some dried herbs and some different seasonings. And you got you, when you come in and you're just tired or you just don't have time, or maybe you're at work and you need something that you can just warm up with some really, take you a bowl or a cup or something and stick it in the microwave with some water, because it's just, let's see, a cup of boiling water, and it's a half a cup of your mix. And you got potato soup about that quick. And I don't hardly ever use instant potatoes really, but I'll show you what I'm using. I'm just using, these are Idahoan original mashed potato. And I think I do have some that I keep in a jar, a big jar up here. And what I use it for is for thickening stuff. Potato flakes, really good for that. So anyways, 1 3/4 cup. Then you need 1 1/2 cups of instant dry milk powder. And we are pretty much full to the brim. Mr. Brown might have to find me a bigger jar. I forgot how much this makes. Wow. I'm going to have to get me a bowl. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to pour all this in a bowl while I'm mixing it up. I'll have to put it, maybe, I'll have to find me a bigger jar. Okay, so we got our potato flakes and our instant dry milk powder. I need 3 teaspoons of chicken bouillon powder. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably use the bouillon cubes. That's fine too if somehow you can, just break them up, put them in your processor and break them up. You just need 3 teaspoons of the bouillon powder. And usually the bouillon cubes and bouillon powder are kind of salty, so I won't be adding salt to this. So 3 teaspoons. We need 2 teaspoons of minced onion. Now, if you don't have minced onion, but you've got onion powder, you can use onion powder too if you want to. But in stuff like this, I do like to use the minced onion. So 2 good, I like onions, so I'm going to put a little bit more. And that smells like onions. I guess if you don't like onion or you just don't like that taste, but when I make homemade potato soup, I always put a little bit of either diced onion, or I put a little bit of minced onion in it, or onion powder. I have done that, just to give it a little bit of that onion taste. Okay, I want a 1/2 teaspoon of celery salt. I don't use celery salt, but I do use celery seed. And I do like that celery seed taste. So 1/2 teaspoon. Now this calls for white pepper. I don't never have white pepper. So I'm going to put black pepper in it. Of course, you'll be able to see it. The reason they want you to use white pepper is because it being potato soup, but it don't bother me having the black flakes in it. I think white pepper is a little bit stouter too. I'm just going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. And you see how much thyme is used in a lot of different mixes too. Now this calls for 1/8 teaspoon of turmeric. And we know that turmeric is going to kind of give it an orangish yellow looking color, but 1/8 teaspoon really is not that much. And it's turmeric root, like we said, it's just really good for you. So it's good to have this stuff, in with your mixes to make it that much more healthier for you. And then we got a teaspoon of parsley. And I hope I can find me a jar big enough. So there's a teaspoon, and you know what? I'm putting another one. Did you come to see me?
I'm hearing you in here talking.
You hear me? You wondering who I'm talking to? I'm talking to all my friends out here.
All your friends.
Yeah. We're making dry mixes. And this is a potato soup mix. We can come.
Potato soup.
Yeah, if we need to come in, we're in a hurry and just need a little bit of hot potato soup or something. This is real easy to do. And then I need 1 teaspoon of these are freeze-dried chives. Now, you could leave this out if you have fresh chives like out in the garden or something. But I do have these freeze-dried chives. And chives are so good in potato soup.
Say that fast 10 times.
Freeze-dried chives. I always put more than what the recipe calls for, but anyways, that smells really good.
It almost like onion soup, don't it?
It does, don't it?
I love onion soup.
And now I've got to find me a jar big enough to put all this in. I don't know why I thought I could put it in a quart jar. But I might have to put it in a couple of jars, what I might have to do. Just as long as I've got it mixed up good.
You got a lot of spices out here.
I know, look at all this. But, we use a lot of spices.
Yes,
Especially making your own mixes up. I'm going to put as much of this in here as I can, just so they can see it. And can you hand me that half a cup hanging there on the edge of that? And I'll put as much in here as I can. That way they can see it. But I was telling them that all you got to do is take a half a cup of this to 1 cup of boiling water, and you got you some quick potato soup.
That'll do us good, won't it?
And you could take this to work,
Yeah.
Think I can get all that in there?
Yep.
You know how I am. I
know you can. I can done tell it's going to fit.
It's going to fit. It is going to fit. Look at that. It did. It fit. I just had to get it all mixed up. So that'll do several cups of potato soup. Quick potato soup. So you just put a lid on this.
I was thinking we've only got 13 more days of getting up at 4:30.
Oh. We don't have to get up till 5:30, huh?
5:30. We get to sleep an hour in.
Well, that'll be fun. So, all you got to do is on top of this, of course, I used a wide mouth jar too. You don't have to. I'll put 1 cup of water and put a half a cup of mix goes into 1 cup of water. And it's about that easy. So this right here was our veggie mix for making.
I can smell it.
For making vegetable broth, and if I'd have had more time and really thought about it,
That smells good.
I'll probably end up making more and filling the jar up. But I don't know. I don't know that we'll use it as much in summertime as I will in the wintertime. So that'd probably be enough for a while.
That almost smells like it'd be good on meat.
Yeah, it probably would. And then I've had some requests for the meatloaf seasoning. So this equals 1 pack of like you buy at the store.
We like meatloaf.
Yeah, we do.
We like cold meatloaf sandwiches
We
next day.
sure do, with mayonnaise on it. Yeah. Now I've got to put all this stuff
You
up.
got a recipe for your grandma's meat.
Yeah, I'm going to put that down below. I'm going to have to put a lot down below in the description box.
I can get to smell this. I get to smell everything.
You'd like to smell everything.
I got a big nose.
Listen, y'all, I've got quite a few mixes like this.
Smells good too.
And let's see if I can remember them. I know I'm not going to, but I will find them, and I will put the videos down in the description box. I know I have one for making cream of something soup, and that is making your base for your cream soup, and it can be mushroom chicken soup, and you make your own instead of, it's healthier for you. And let's see, I've got taco, ranch, spaghetti. I've got a really good chili seasoning mix, and a lot of people have used that and said they really like it. It's got a different ingredient in it that a lot of people probably wouldn't think about. But they say that they love that secret ingredient in there. It just really makes the chili taste good. How many am I leaving out? A bunch of them.
Several, probably.
Did I say fajita?
I don't think. Do you have it?
Fajita, spaghetti. They're all over there. Taco.
Anyway, all of them
salsa.
You come up with.
Yeah, I'm going to put them down in the description box so y'all can go back and watch them. And what I want y'all to do, if there is a seasoning mix that y'all would like for me to do that I haven't done yet, we'll do them. Because that's one of the things that I do like having in my pantry that I don't buy at the store unless it is a have-to necessity because of some reason. I make it at home. It does save money because you can make it in big batches and it don't have all that weird ingredients in it.
The stuff that's not good for you.
Yeah.
All the preservatives.
Yeah. And you have ate some.
It tastes so good.
You have ate some of my popcorn that had this on it, and it tastes buttery, don't it?
Yes.
The nutritional yeast. So, anyways, I hope y'all like these mixes I've done today. Some of them they're a little bit different, but we'll go from here. Like I said, if there's some that y'all want me to do, just comment and let me know.
It's funny how you said you're talking about popcorn. That's y'all. This is Sunday night after services. We get on. That's our popcorn. I don't eat a lot of popcorn, but she eats at least once a week. Eats a little popcorn.
Sunday night.
I snack on her popcorn.
Yeah.
That's why she says that's her popcorn.
Sunday night is I don't eat supper or anything because we usually have a big lunch.
Well, I eat all day Sundays.
Yeah. And Sunday night is when I splurge and I have popcorn and I have a Dr. Pepper with it. I can't help it. But anyways.
And I snack on her popcorn.
Yeah, he does.
A little bit.
If there's any questions, just in the comments, just ask me. And we'll go from there on our seasonings. I love doing this, so it's just a lot of fun.
Tasting, smelling, and eating.
Hey, can you hand me that jar of, I'm going to show them real quick because some people, they started their vinegar, some of their vinegar same time I did this one on my last vinegar. Yeah, be careful with it. My last vinegar video a while back. And you can see that, I can tell you, it's still bubbling, but not as much. It has quit bubbling. So what I'll do now, and you can see how it looks, it's not as cloudy. There for a while it was really cloudy, and it's starting to clear up. Around the edges, you can see there's a few bubbles, but probably about last week, you could see it bubbling. It was like bubbling.
And I could smell it when I walked by it.
So I think it's pretty much where I want it. And I'm going to strain it. And I'm going to find me a different container to put it in.
Maybe I need to taste it. Do I need to taste it?
Well, that's up to you. And I had this in there to keep the apples down.
I'll taste it.
And what I do is after straining these apples, I'll feed the apples to the chickens.
That'd be good for the chickens.
Now, you know it's going to taste like vinegar.
I know. I love apple vinegar.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That smells good. Here, let me have some of that.
It's not hooch. It's not hooch. It's vinegar. Anyways.
It's very good.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, I need to get this strained. I hope, if y'all started your vinegar the same time I did, I hope it's, it should be ready by now. Just taste it and smell it and make sure there's no mold on the top or anything like that. So we're good to go on this one. So I hope y'all like this video, and there'll be more.
Will they?
Yeah.
Be more. Tell everybody why you got this green shirt on.
If the creek don't rise, what? I don't know.
You remember you made a birthday pie for a lady at work, and she wanted it as a birthday, and she wanted
Her
green.
favorite color is green, so we all wore green shirts.
Yes.
That's what we do for people. I made her a lemon meringue pie for her birthday.
And I didn't get none of it.
And you didn't get none of it. And let me tell you something, it was good.
Was it?
I did get a piece of it. Anyways, we got to get
She was
off.
whipping one up last night.
She turned 72 years old. She's
Yeah.
still working in the cafeteria.
She's Cajun,
Yes, she's from Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Margaret Ann. Her
Margaret
birthday,
Ann.
72 years old. So happy birthday, Margaret. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Y'all have a wonderful week. God bless, and we love y'all.